There are lots of things I love about working in real estate. Mainly the folks that I work with are amazing. It's a wonderful vehicle to meet all kinds of different people, diverse populations. I come at it from a human service background, and that helps me help people navigate through this process successfully, because it can be an emotional process, and it's probably the biggest investment most people will ever make, not only for their primary residence, but also their investment properties or properties that they're creating for their kids with disabilities, which I've helped contribute to in the past. You're impacting people where they live, literally. Finding somebody the perfect home is more about knowing your person, knowing the person that you're working with, knowing what their lifestyle's like, getting a feel for their personality and how they use their space, because space is just space. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm giving a redundant speech walking through a home saying, well, this is the kitchen, this is the dining room. But when you think about how people use space, it really doesn't matter where we traditionally or conventionally have used space. We can rearrange it, we can move walls, we can get really creative about the use of space. So the more I get to know somebody and figure out, for example, somebody called me the other day on a condominium we have right on the ocean, and it was great to talk to him about whether or not they do entertaining. They don't. So it's much easier to find a property for somebody like that maybe it doesn't have a patio or a big grand backyard, but they don't need it. Somebody else who does, you want to be able to be real specific about what their needs are. So when somebody tells me, you know, I want one with a nice backyard, or I want a beautiful bedroom or a master suite, we want to define that. We want to work with them and ask more questions and really pare down what it is that they're looking for, because their perception of nice and big or wonderful or beautiful may be very different from what I think or what my other clients think. So asking questions and really digging a little bit deeper than the surface to find out how they really use space and what's important to them. Movement Mortgage has been our in-house lender for the entire time I've been here in California, which hasn't been very long, but it's wonderful to be able to go down the hall, ask a question, and know that somebody's going to be there to answer our question. More times than I can care to remember, we have calls into loan officers and we're not getting responses, or there's a problem and nobody's getting back to us. They're right there in our office and they handle our questions. Not only that, they're there to help us. So when we have other issues around financing or any questions at all really that they can help us with, we have a resource right there in our office that's willing to be of assistance. I think one of the benefits of working with Movement Mortgage from the client's perspective is the pre-approval process is incredible. To have that loan be pre-approved and have all the underwriting done ahead of time puts the buyer right below a cash buyer. So when we're in a competitive situation where we're vying for the attention of the sellers, it's wonderful to have a loan officer who's going to call the listing agent and say, look, these buyers are just under a cash buyer. You can't do much better than that. And they can close very quickly, and we're pretty much, once we've gone through that initial process of the pre-approval and underwriting, it's subject only to the inspection and the appraisal, which is huge because a lot of our deals fall apart because the financing isn't in place. When we know that we can rely on Movement Mortgage to pre-approve those folks, and that it's only subject to an appraisal and home inspection, that's pretty cool. And to be able to go to a listing agent and be in a competitive situation where we're vying for the seller's attention, that puts us at the head of the pack. So that's a huge benefit to the buyer. I think what makes me a little bit unique is that I've raised my kids alone. They're both very successful in their own careers, so don't ever tell me a single mother can't do it, because she can. I've always worked really hard. I'm very resourceful, mainly because I had to be. So as I learned different resources and skills, and anything that I ever learned because of the situations that I was in, I've always used to benefit other people. So as I walk people through that transaction, I'm always thinking about, like, if that were me, what would I want someone to tell me, or what would I want someone to advise me, or what resources would I try to come up with to make this easier and more enjoyable and more successful. Sometimes people just need to know that you care, and they need to know that you're willing to explore some resources that somebody else might not. I've made many calls on behalf of people that would never do me any good financially, but it does your heart good and you can sleep better at night.
For more information on home loans, visit movement.com.